trying to find the correct angle to look at. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Push Up Podcast. Why push up? And podcast at the same time. Been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a lot more. Well, by a lot more, I mean I managed to do it yesterday, and it was real fun. Might end up doing it more often than not. Maybe not. But it was intense. And I'm starting to get to the point where I think I need to train on screen to give myself an alibi for training. And I want to explain to you what I've learned technique-wise, or let's say fundamental-wise, in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu so far. Fundamentally, I've learned there are three main positions. There's standing, where you and your opponent are both in a standing position, and no one has gained ground control, considering that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is ultimately a ground game. There's ground control from the bottom, and there's ground control from the top. Now, you can be offensive and defensive from both these positions, but as a newbie, typically you will be offensive from the top ground position, defensive from the bottom ground position, and fighting for offense and defense from the top position. Now, there's a concept known as space. Space is quite literally the amount of space or amount of distance in between my body and my opponent's body. When in a defensive scenario, we want to create space. When in an offensive scenario, we want to eliminate space. In the battle of space, there's constantly a fight between levers and frames. In a defense position, you are using your bone structure, such as holding yourself in guard and holding your opponent with your legs. You're using your bone structure as a frame. While offensively, your opponent is seeing those frames as levers which to maneuver your body. That's about all I got. So, not a lot do I know, but I'm under the impression that if I work towards understanding and perhaps use my jiu-jitsu grappling dummy to film these learning techniques, because teaching somebody retains much of the knowledge, while simply learning it yourself doesn't retain as much. Perhaps teaching you, the viewers, will make me a better grappler. One more thing I want to talk about before the podcast is over, as far as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu wise. Hollywood, this podcast says Push Up Podcast BJJ Edition Fundamentals. Is that whatever your domain? How does the quote go? Oh, the quote is, the quality of a man's life, or a person's life in general, is directly proportional to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their chosen field of endeavor. So whatever you do, whether it be writing or podcasting, these terrible podcasts like I do, or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or arts, whatever it is you do it excellently, my friend. Yeah, I know this is not excellent as it were, but it is on the road to excellency. Hopefully. And I'm improving, at least in the push-up domain, I will say. Whether or not the podcasting is improved, whether or not the consistency is improved, leaves much to be desired. My friends, I've not kept track of how many push-ups I've done, but for the sake of the video, we do one more, just one more, for good measure. So, if you haven't done a push-up with me yet, let's do one more. And as always, friends, push forward.